Hello, everybody. Today we're having our debate. We have our two candidates, Francisco Robles and Miguel Davila.
My name is Mary J. Schultz.
I'm Bobby,
I will be asking the questions for Miguel.
and I will be asking the questions for Francisco. Okay. Mr. Robles, healthcare. Given the worrisome rise of mental disturbances within the younger generation of Americans over at least the last decade, what would you do now to improve the mental health of our citizens?
Well, okay, so the whole reason because that all our kids, like all the younger generations, have mental health problems is because our like community is very weak. We've grown weak. We've been they've introduced them to the fact that it's okay to let your emotions take over you. This is why we've had so many school shootings and all those type of problems. In order to take care of that, we need to make America strong again. We make them strong, not just physically but mentally. Is that not
Okay, that's it. Mr. Davila, your response?
So I would say that a lot of the factors come from like their parents, so I think that it would be nice to make more programs that help these parents understand what their children feel, more like classes for everyone, but we also need to understand that these kids also need that help. So I would open more programs for these kids. For example, there's already fundings for programs where kids can find out what they want to do in the future. There's a lot of projects, and a lot of these problems mentally come from like the past, and they come to haunt us into the future because in generation we build our society on this. So what I want to do is break this chain of what the parents need to know how to raise their children, and we need to build a future so that they can continue from a fresh start, continue to make a good chain of actions. And so yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Robles, 1 minute response.
Okay, so I agree that you need to your parents need to definitely educate their kids, that way they don't have to go through all those mental problems. But however, parents not all the time have the time or the time to to educate their kids, right? So sometimes that's why we have to make kids sometimes learn on their own. We have to find other type of ways. For example, maybe every kid goes to school, right? That's what we need to enforce, education, right? That way they learn how to do everything on their own and don't rely on their parents. Society nowadays has told them that they can do whatever they want, listen to their friends and stuff like that. However, if we force them to learn with their parents, they're always going to be used to their parents teaching them everything. So then they're not going to learn on themselves. They're not going to be
Thank you, Mr. Robles. Mr. Davila, 30 seconds, final thoughts.
I agree with his thought, but for that I did mention that there would be two separate programs, one for the kids and some for the adults, which I think that they could both rely on each other because the kids are the future. However, for the parents, even if they don't have time, the kids have their own choice to make this. So these programs are not just for the parents, but for the kids as well. I do agree with him a lot. However, parents are.
That's time. Thank you.
As president, how would you ensure that Americans keep their right to bear arms under the Second Amendment, which is also ensuring that gun violence drops?
So this is actually a very good question, because I know that there's not a lot of gun control in our communities. Not nearly enough, because someone angry could go get their license, and a month after they could go do whatever they want with it, right? I think that they should implement like a system of mental evaluation to these people to make sure that nothing is wrong with them. They want their things to be safe, not to go cause crimes. a lot of these people like don't have a lot of background checks, and I know that there's illegal gun selling, but these guns being sold start from first making the gun, the production of the gun, to being sold to someone normal for them to sell them to someone that doesn't have a license. So they illegally sell these, and I think that would be mostly our gun control, just mental evaluations for people.
So I agree on the fact that you have to like have like a mental evaluation and also a background check, right? However, that's always been done, you know. Always, maybe not background check, and hasn't been implemented as much. However, that's not gonna fix the problem because this, you know, we do this in today's world, you know, it's already done, and still either way people, you know, they still do what they do, right? Which I'm telling you is like, the reason why people do this is because of how weak society is today. Back then people didn't go, you know, teenagers would have guns and stuff like that, and they wouldn't go shooting. Why? Because they were strong, right? If we don't fix that, you know, we just keep doing like how you said, just the background checks, it's gonna be still the same story regardless. That we're not gonna fix the problem. So we need to find another way to make them stronger. That way they don't go through, you know, all their mental problems, and you know, it reduces the crime and the school shooting and all those stuff, type of stuff.
That's what I'm gonna. So I agree with this. The only bigger problem is that people have dementia. They have these crazy things. Sometimes they go into drugs. For example, you can have genetics of having dementia, Alzheimer's, and all of this. But however, there's triggering factors. For example, weed, and all of this, right? So when I meant like not just background checks, I think we focus more into the aspect of mental evaluation. I think it's very clear to see when a person has these thoughts, when they hear voices. So all of these things, it's not like you can fix them from behind, but I think this would be more of a security problem with the cops, drug control, all of this, because this is unfortunately the world we live in, and it's a very harsh world. So I think that the harder way to take it is to have more drug control.
Yeah, but the thing is, people like most of the cases when you have, like, for example, let's say because you brought it up, school shooting, right, or gun shooting, right, like people with that, most of the times it's not people with dementia or stuff like that. It's just kids who, you know, they're depressed or they have anxiety and all those type of symptoms, and you know, they're under this, you know, this thought that, you know, they have to listen to their emotions, right? It's okay to listen to their emotions, and they just, you know, do what they do. They go and then they shoot, like, you know, their whole school, right? If we could take control of like society, you know, tell them, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Robles.
Next topic.
On the topic of border security, the United States is currently experiencing a great influx of migrants crossing the border into the U.S. from their home countries in South America. As president, what would your border security policy look like in regard to dealing with these massive waves of illegal immigrants?
Unfortunately, I'm looking after my country. I'm looking after my people. So I would just reinforce this border security, right? Because the overpopulation of immigrants affects the structure and the economy of our country, right? So I know it sounds, you know, harsh, but I'm looking after my own people, right? I'm looking after America. I'm looking to provide a better place for all my people, right? So you know, sometimes you gotta do hard decisions, right? And if that means that I have to, you know, send, you know, all the people out who aren't from this country, then that's what I would do.
Alright, I actually strongly agree with him. I have a plan actually. So the thing about doing this is we're going to fund more, like I said, more into the executive branch, because we need it, right? And we actually spend a lot on immigration camps and all that to take care of them. However, because this happens because we don't get them quick enough. However, we're losing funds for this. Military veterans are losing their benefits, and they're losing all of this, and it's horrible. I've seen schools getting taken. to make them immigrant camps. And honestly, I just think that taking care of this is very important for our economy as well, to avoid any more funding for these things. And I actually very strongly agree with him that we do need to take care of our country. And yeah.
Second.
So seeing as we have the same point of view, right, on this topic, I would like to ask you like what is it that you would do different from what I would do? Because you basically just rephrased what I said, we're gonna strengthen the borders, right? We're gonna take care of like all these problems, like what would you do differently than I would do?
Not much of a difference, but I have a different view on it that it'll fix some of our other problems. So on that case, we are on the same page, just with a different, well, maybe same goal, but just a little more.
Mr. Davila, as president, how will you engage with Mexico and other countries to reform, create, and implement cooperative immigration policies?
I think we would do something like, what was it called? I forget what it was called. But we would basically offer Mexico some programs so that they are able to take care of the border on their end. And I think this is very important because we already do this with the military. We actually go to, they actually go to other countries to know how to defend themselves against terrorists, against this, that. And we basically would do the same, but for border on Mexico's problem, because Mexico also has a problem from other immigrants coming into Mexico. So I've seen that they have their camps and everything, and I've seen how bad it is. I myself donate to these things, but I would offer those programs for them.
Mr. Robles?
See, I wouldn't just work with Mexico, right? I would try to work with everybody, right? Because if you don't, my first priority is the United States, right? That's what I'm looking for, right? But if we don't have any of the rest of the world in peace, right? The United States won't be in peace as well, because there's always gonna be problems with other countries, Mexico, Ukraine, and all that stuff, right? So if we make bonds with everyone, we won't have to worry about these other problems, right? If we can make all the countries have a stable economy, we wouldn't have people coming over to our country because we actually know how to take care of our economy, right? So if we fix the problems over there, we wouldn't have to worry about them, and then everyone would just be in peace.
1 minute response.
I do agree with him, but as much as I agree with him, I see it as impossible to try and fix others' economies. I totally agree that if their economy wasn't like that, they wouldn't be overcoming here. But even then, I don't think there is a way to fix that. There is programs that can be offered, but that would be a long-term solution for that, and it would take a really long time. However, I do agree with him. I totally would do that. But yeah.
Final thoughts?
You're denying the change to you're denying the solution to change, right? Obviously, we have to start somewhere. I'm not saying it's gonna be done within a week, right? But for example, we already have NATO, right? We already have like alliances with other countries, right? Why can't we have the rest of the countries? Obviously, it's gonna take a time, right? But if you're not willing to do the change, then who's gonna do the change?
Okay, Mr. Davila, on the topic of climate and the environment, how will you ensure all communities receive equal access to clean air and water and equitable response to climate disasters such as wildfires or hurricanes?
This is a very, very, very hard question. However, right now, as of right now, me, a person, can't tell you right now this. But the thing is that I can give funds to to make new programs. And I know I've been talking about a lot of programs, but we need this to fix the environment. It's very hard to fix the environment. So we would be asking for research. I've seen technological advancements that would help us. I would totally fund in a lot of these, and the reasons why they're not so popular to fund projects like this is because people don't often look at the environment the way we do. But I've seen machines that can go into the water and try and clean. And for us humans, I think that it's a very good thing. We don't have to stand up and go clean it after ourselves. There's already laws against littering. There's everything. So I think for that we would just need a bigger group of people and technology.
So like you said, we need a bigger group, right? And that's why I'm trying to make more alliances with other places, right? Because we can take care of the United States all we want, right? But we have one world. If we don't take care of the whole world, it doesn't matter. The United States is not just gonna survive and the rest are gonna die. No, we're all gonna, eventually we're all gonna die, right? If we get we can fund all the things you want with natural disasters like that. We can build everything back up, right? But you gotta really change it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta fix the problem, from the inside. Not just the outside, right? If we make alliances with other people, we won't just fix the United States, but the whole world.
So I agree with you, and I actually never denied the fact that we should make alliances with other places. The thing that I did say, and you can quote me on that, is that I don't think that it was gonna be that big. The difference. I don't deny that we should make alliances with everyone, and it is very hard to make alliances with everyone because countries have problems with each other. So it's really hard, and I would agree that we would have to try. But we do offer these services to other countries, and I think that we should continue to offer these services to other countries. However, I would like to offer it a lot, strongly implement this, because I don't think it's implemented enough, and I think that these countries don't really use as much as these programs as they should be used. But I totally agree with you.
Okay, you're agreeing with me. So basically, you're just saying my points are you're already agreeing with my points, but you're trying to keep everything the same way. It's not. You're not offering, anything different. So everything that you've said so far, which is good points. Don't get me wrong, but we already have most of the stuff, right? But we have to make something different. We have to actually try to change something, right? Could it fail? Yes, but at least we can try to change it, right? And obviously, trying with this, you're not gonna send the
Thank you,
population.
Mr. Robles.
Mr. Robles, this next question's for you. What steps will you take to ensure we collectively reduce our carbon emissions? And do you have an emissions reduction target or a timeline?
What, sorry?
An emissions reduction target or a timeline? I'll repeat the question. What steps will you take to ensure that we can reduce our carbon emissions? Do you have a plan to do it, or do you have a timeline on when we can solve it?
See, as of right now, my first step is to get the base structure of America solid again, right? Because right now America's been getting pushed around like we're nothing, right? So right now I'm looking to solve first the strong problems, and then from there we'll fix the rest of it. So as of right now I can't give you an exact target.
Response?
Honestly, on the same page, to be honest. Wait, can you repeat the question again?
What steps will you take to ensure we collectively reduce our carbon emissions? And do you have an emissions reduction target or timeline?
That would be a hard question, but just going back into what I said last time, I think we would just have to focus more on our country, because our country right now, as much as we want to fix other countries right now, our country is not stable on its economy. So right now I'm kind of on the same page that I don't really know.
Mr. Davila, on the topic of combating drugs and crime, as president, how will you support or advocate for families impacted by drug addiction?
So I really would like to offer things like I know that in some other places they have these programs where they have drug addiction centers and all of this, and they offer them to them for free. I think hard addictions are a really hard thing. The thing about these countries are they're really harsh on drugs. Is they take them 3 times, and after the 3rd time, they let them go because after that, it's practically impossible to get them to get out of it. Addictions are strong. I agree that we should make more things like these drug centers for free, offering them to people funded by the government so that these people do not have to pay. And after that, I think that these families would not have to worry so much about having a cost for a psychologist or anything like that. So they're freely able to fix that problem within their own family without having to sacrifice money, without getting them off their toes, and that would be it.
First of all, I would, focus on the law enforcement so that they could take, control of all the drugs, running around there, narcotics and all that stuff, right? But I would also implement drug centers or stuff like that, funded by the government so that, the families who have been affected by that, don't have to worry about something else, because American citizens already work hard enough, they come they come to live the American dream, right? So they have other stuff to worry about. So that's something else we could take off the back.
So I think it's really interesting that you said that, because you said that previously you said that we had enough police power already. So right now you're offering basically no change. Like you said I was doing before, but you're staying on the page that our police are already good enough for our country. However, you're offering what I offered right now and the police. So are you willing to make the change of adding more police force to our own country so that we can fix that, or not?
The police will already, work. I'm going to work on the fact that, there will be more law enforcement, right? The centers that I'm going to offer are for people who are either currently or going into those type of problems, right? Because as of right now, there's drugs going around on the streets and stuff like that, right? So those stuff will be for people who are already, going through those problems, right? But my point still stands. I will, give more funds for the police force and for the law enforcement, so that they can actually take it to get rid of this problem.
Yeah. Okay. Which is it's exactly what I said at the very beginning, literally. But
Alright. Mr. Robles, since 1980, the U.S. prison population has grown by almost 800%. The United States has more people behind bars than any other country in the world. My question is, what would you do as president to reduce the U.S. prison population and end mass incarceration?
If somebody's in prison, it's because most likely they did something that they shouldn't have done, and that's why they're behind bars, right? I can't if I get rid of reducing the population of people in prison, right? It'd basically be like getting people out, criminals on the street, and it would just affect our cities and homes again. You know what I'm saying? It would affect it would affect the whole country. So there's no reason why I should reduce the amount of people who go into jail. However, can I maybe help these people, change their life and maybe try to change the way that they think so that they become, once they, if they don't have, life sentence, right? Once they get out of jail, they become better people. We can try that, but there's no reason for me to reduce the population of people who are in jail.
Response?
Alright. I would say the same thing, but the little problem that I did see is that these people are offered probation and no probation for certain reasons, and they also offer programs within jails. Like they give them books, they give them accessories, they give them the ability to go to church within these jails. so that they can change for the better as people. So it really is kind of a hard question, and I would say that neither him or me can really do something about it. What we could do is make a tad bit more of jails, create more jails, or make these jails a little more bigger in order to have the people fit within the jails. Because after all, they are humans. They're food, our food. Yeah.
1 minute.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you said that I can't, I can't change it, right? Like, I didn't say that, right? It's a harder process. I go back to my previous point, right? Like, most of these people, either they're actually like, crazy, and when it comes to those people, you can't really help them, right? But people, for example, that, they go to jail because of, for example, like, they shot someone or like, or stuff like that, like, there's, kids who go to jail because of school shootings and stuff like that. It's like, those can actually be fixed, if we just change, the way society, is making them think, right? However, the question was asking, well, how would you reduce? Not how can I change it, right? So I can change, like, I can try to change, like, the way, so that there's less crime, right? That way, the less crime there is, the less people they go to jail. So it's two different things, okay? It doesn't mean I'm not gonna change it.
Thank you. 30 seconds.
Alright, it didn't really make sense to me because people have trials for a reason. Whether he mentioned mentally insane people, and to be honest, these people are sent to mental institutes, not prisons, and it's a whole different thing. I don't think it's a nice place either. However, I do think that they get their thing, but it's not exactly jail, it's a mental institute. So it's a little more different than what you said.
Mr. Davila, on the topic of foreign policy, today only 20% of the world's people live in free countries. What do you view as the United States' role in strengthening democracy and protecting human rights around the world?
So I think as a matter to spread our democracy, I think we need to make more alliances with people. But we also need to make people understand that our democracy is because we choose to have these governments. However, like more free countries, more countries like these, need the American Navy. They need things like this so that they can be protected from war, from anything like that. But democracy is a choice given to you, and the government they make is up to them. So spreading democracy is a really interesting thing, but it's harder on countries that already have settled for whatever it is. For example, China, they're still communist. You can't change the way they think. I think it would just be more of a matter of trying to deal with these countries or trying to agree with these countries so that they can maybe change a little bit on their minds and maybe spread a little bit of democracy.
Thank you.
So I'm not gonna go too in depth in this because he just said it. You would try to change like the way they think or something like that?
Kind of go into agreement
Go into agreements, right? Go into agreements and maybe change a little bit of the way they think, right? Basically what I am trying to do. I'm trying to make bonds, I'm trying to make alliances with other people, with other countries on it. So if I do that, basically you're backing up my point, you know what I'm saying? The point that you said that it was, how did you say, really hard or impossible?
Really hard.
Really hard for it. So, I'm just gonna say that, I'm not gonna say my speech is pretty much backed up my whole point, so.
1 minute.
So, like he said, it was part of his point, but my thing is not to go out there in their countries to go try and fix all of their problems, but just try to go into an agreement with democracy, not everything, because we don't have the funds to even fix our own place. So if you guys want to live in a place or like go into a house, I'm trying to fix more of the problems inside of America. But if anything, going to spread democracy is actually less than trying to go fix problems in other countries. Because as good as it sounds to fix all the world, I'm not saying that it is impossible. We first have to fix our own country, And I strongly believe that a strong country can change the world. However, our country right now is not as strong as it used to be. People are losing homes or losing things because of the economy. And right now we need to fix that economy before we can do all of this.
Thank you, Mr. Davila. 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah, well, first of all, my first priority is America, right? Once I fix America, I'm not gonna go use our funds and try to fix their problems, no. I'm gonna try to, an alliance doesn't necessarily mean I go give them all my money and try to fix them. No, I'm trying to make, them think the same way I do, and maybe if we can come to an agreement, right, they can take the same route I can, and they can make their country better as well. And eventually, we can all be in the same boat. So I'm not trying to fix with my funds, I'm just trying to put them on the same path.
Thank you.
Our final question of the night, Mr. Robles. Conflicts regarding foreign interests with one another are growing more and more frequent, such as the one in Russia and Ukraine and Israel and Palestine. How much involvement, if any, should the U.S. have with these foreign conflicts, and should these foreign conflicts be a priority for America?
So basically I kinda already talked about this, right? We need to make sure that the rest of the world is in peace, that way, America's in peace, right? I'm not going to go support their war because it's not their problem, their conflict is not my problem, right? However, what it is my problem is that if I get them to stop and they come to an agreement, right? And I can make an agreement with them, then we can all be, on a better economic level, and our countries can be in a better shape than what they are right now, right? Obviously, we don't want, I don't want no one to die, I don't want no wars, however, you know what I'm saying, I need them to get it fixed, that way I can, my country's also in peace, we don't have to worry about them involving them with us.
So first of all, it's not even a war. It's more of a one-sided conflict. However, they do have the terrorists, the Hamas, and it's against Israel. To do this, I think we need to strongly implement our NATO. It's really hard because Israel is going on all out. And I think that it would be nice to supply the people, not with weapons, but supply them with resources, supply them, what is it? Yeah, we need to supply the people that are getting hurt because of this, because they are throwing bombs, people are losing their homes, their families. It's a scary place because people are just living there and they lose food, they lose things, and I think in order to save these countries, I think it would not be an agreement between both. It would just have to be an agreement between Israel, which is going on all out, and having NATO help them get rid of the terrorists, the Hamas, to help them get rid of it without having to cause so much genocide or so much killing for the people. And that would be mostly it.
Like you said, once more, we're gonna try to help other countries, right? Which is most of my points, right? I'm trying to, make alliances and get more points. So I don't have to go any further to that. You pretty much just said, what I've been trying to prove, the point I've been trying to get to the whole night. So just, yeah, I don't have much to say.
Last thought.
Okay. The problem with trying to do all that is that it does take funds. But we are taking funds in order to do that, because making alliances is impossible without funds. And we are going to do this to set this world free, with peace, with everything, not to fix everything, but to fix ourselves and fix what's necessary out there. And that's what I'm trying to do, fix America.
We just said fix the world and
And I'm gonna fix America and the world.
Because
Let's
you
go.
just said that you wanted to fix, that you were just worried about, right?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Fix the world and America.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, please share your final, your closing statements.
Oh, okay, so just like this. So, in conclusion, I would just pretty much, get a better healthcare, get more control on the healthcare, get more control on the gun control, crime, drugs, terrorism, and I would definitely try to make more alliances with other countries. That way, we're all at peace and we all have, better
So for me, it would be to fix America's economy so that we can fund more projects and make this world a peaceful world for everyone to enjoy. And yeah, I would like to set conflict free because it can really be a hard thing if it isn't set free.
Thank you.
That's it.